I am Chief Robert Hertman of the Town of Wallkill Police Department. I'll begin by introducing those here with me. To my far right is Lieutenant Peter Sirigliano of the New York State Police, Bureau of Criminal Investigation. To my immediate right is Sheriff Carl Du Bois. To my immediate left is District Attorney Dave Hoovler. And to the far left is Sergeant Robert McLemore, Town of Wallkill Detective Bureau. I begin by commending the law enforcement agencies involved in this extensive investigation, including the members of the Town of Wallkill Police Department, the New York State Police, the Orange County Sheriff's Office, the FBI, and the Orange County District Attorney's Office. From the onset, these agencies worked cohesively to bring a just conclusion to this investigation. I also thank all of our law enforcement partners, including the Monticello and Fallsburg Police Departments, for their assistance last evening. During a media conference yesterday, Town of Wallkill detectives released videos and a still photo of a suspect wanted in connection with the November 26th shooting at the Galleria Mall. Immediately after the news media disseminated the videos and the still photo, calls started coming in to the Town of Wallkill Police Department hotline. Within hours, several of the callers reported that the suspect has been residing in the village of Monticello. Investigators from this department traveled to Monticello and began interviewing some of the tipsters. Within a brief period of time, we had a reasonable belief that the suspect was in that area. Armed with this information, investigators from the Town of Wallkill and the New York State Police Bureau of Criminal Investigations fanned out over the area in an attempt to locate the suspect. Subsequently, at approximately 11 p.m., the suspect, who is now identified as Michael Perez-Rodriguez, a 27-year-old male, date of birth September 29, 1990, residing at 804 Delaware Street, Forest City, Pennsylvania, walked into the village of Monticello Police Department and indicated that he is wanted by the Town of Wallkill Police and he wanted to turn himself in. At 11:45 p.m., Town of Wallkill Detective Christopher DiNapoli took the suspect into custody and transported him back to the Town of Wallkill Police Station. Since that time, investigators from the Town of Wallkill Police Department and the New York State Police Bureau of Criminal Investigations, with the assistance of the District Attorney's Office, executed one search warrant, interviewed the suspect, his wife, who was a person of interest we were seeking in this case, and other witnesses. We have determined that the defendant was the individual who discharged a licensed handgun at the Galleria on November 26th, resulting in the injuries to two individuals, including a 12-year-old boy and his mother. Consequently, we have charged the defendant with 1 count of reckless endangerment and 2 counts of assault. At 3 p.m. today, the defendant was arraigned before Judge Peter Green in the Town of Wallkill Court, and he was remanded to Orange County Jail in lieu of $2,500 bond over $5,000 cash bail. I remind everyone that this is still a very active investigation, and we are continuing to follow up on new leads that are still coming in. To that end, we ask that anyone that may have witnessed this incident but has not yet been interviewed by police contact us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at 845-692-6757. I will now turn the podium over to D.A. Hoovler and then to Sheriff Du Bois, who would like to say a few words. District Attorney.
Thank you, Chief. First and foremost, I'd like to thank the Town of Wallkill Police Department as well as the State Police, their investigators, and the Sheriff's Office for the diligent investigation here. And also I have to thank my staff, some of which have been out over 24 hours now working this case. As the Chief mentioned, the suspect in this case has been charged with 1 count of reckless endangerment in the 1st degree and 2 counts of assault in the 3rd degree. Reckless endangerment is a Class D felony. It's punishable by 2 1/3 years to 7 years in state prison, all the way down to probation or something less. and the misdemeanors are punishable up to a year in jail, all the way down to virtually nothing. Again, the charges are based upon the investigation thus far. Again, the police departments have done a great job investigating this matter. It was brought to my attention that some members of the media wanted to know about the fact that it was a licensed firearm. The suspect in this case had a valid New York State carry permit issued in Sullivan County. Therefore, because a valid permit was issued by a judge in the state of New York, that individual was allowed to carry this gun. And because of that, no criminal possession of a weapon charge can be brought in this case. The charges in this case are brought solely and wholly based upon the defendant's conduct in the mall on Sunday afternoon at approximately 3:06 p.m. So on that note, I would remind all the members of the media that the defendant in this case, under the rules of our state Constitution as well as the United States Constitution, the individual is innocent until proven guilty. I always have to remind the media of that because that is the rules that we have. Chief, I'll turn it back over to you.
Great, thank you. As I mentioned earlier, I'll now turn the podium over to Orange County Sheriff Calderwood.
Yeah, I too would like to commend all the agencies involved for a quick and successful resolution to this case. I think it puts a lot of people's minds at ease. You know, the other day I talked about social media and how it was a detriment to this investigation. I'm not condemning social media. I'm just condemning people who think that they can put information out without any kind of authorization or validation. And that is harmful. It really is. It could clog up phone lines. It could encourage civilian response to the location. There's just a whole litany of things that could happen by putting out false information or misleading information. Social media is helpful to police investigations. It can be very, very helpful. It can elicit information that we're looking for that we may not get the old-fashioned way by going out and digging for it. It could come in, you know, any way through that. So I just wanted to clarify my remarks from the other day that I'm not condemning social media, but I'm just condemning the misinformation and sometimes disinformation. Some of the times the deliberate information that's put out there that is, the other day it was probably 90–95% incorrect and misleading from what I saw and from, I think, from what the other agencies saw also. The other thing that I would like to say is, you know, if you have a business, if you have a mall or something like that, you know, make sure your videos are working. Make sure that they are clear. Have them serviced. If you need more video cameras, if you have to invest in that, I'm encouraging you to do it. It really helped in this case. And any businesses out there that do not have any kind of video, I would encourage you to get it if you can afford it. It really, I think in this case, we can all agree that it assisted in that successful and quick resolution to this case. Last thing I'm going to mention is training for employees. The Orange County Sheriff offers active shooter training for businesses, and we encourage you to contact the Orange County Sheriff's Office for that training. Tonight, at 7 o'clock at the 911 Center in Goshen, we are having that active shooter training for houses of worship and churches and what have you. Our people are going to be down there tonight for a couple hours from 7 to 9, if any of the media would like to stop in and see what we have to offer. But we encourage any business to contact the Orange County Sheriff's Office, 845-291-7900, and you'll be put through to the proper people. And we will come to your place of business, or you can come to the sheriff's office. We have a couple other locations we can do it at, but we would encourage you to get this training, and it is free of charge for businesses in Orange County. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. I'll now open the floor for a few brief questions, please.
It's not clear.
Sorry,
It's not clear why Mr. Perez shot his firearm. Do we know if this was an accidental discharge? Did he intentionally shoot, in the mall? What was he doing with the gun in his hand in the first place?
I'm not going to comment on any of those questions at this time. The investigation is still very active, and some of that information involves witness statements and statements of others. I'd rather just not comment on that this time.
And his wife wasn't charged with anything?
No, not at this time. No.
Right, at the arraignment, the judge commented on the fact that Mr. Perez-Rodriguez seems to have changed his hair, he shaved. Was that subsequent to turning himself in or before turning himself in?
Before turning himself in, when we took him into custody last night, he was clean shaven. And based on video evidence at the scene, it was obvious that it was recent. Yes, sir.
The bail was set fairly low. Would that indicate on its own that the crime or what he's been charged with is not as serious as what could be expected for
The
a
police
crime?
department is not involved in the bail process. That's the court's decision.
Could the district attorney comment on that? I mean, because even the judge seemed to think that he raised some of the issues about the appearance being changed. It just, it seemed low for that.
Well, I don't know what seems low about it. The individual has no criminal record, he turned himself in, he did change his appearance. Again, we're not gonna talk about the 3 to 4 hours of interviews that were done with him, but he did retire, he did hire local counsel. He came in with local counsel, he made a full statement to the police. He was 100% cooperative in taking us to the evidence, in recovering the evidence in the case. So that being said, I think it's more than reasonable, and on top of it, he signed a waiver of extradition back to his home state. So all those things considered, I think it's more than reasonable. And again, I think that you have to understand that somebody mentioned in the back there, accidental. You have to understand the term accidental the word has its own meaning. And by the term accidental, it means that given the facts and circumstances, whatever happened was completely unavoidable. I would be very hesitant to use that term in this particular case. And again, I would point out that the individual had a valid permit to carry the weapon. It was a full carry permit issued by a judge in Sullivan County that they vetted this person to have this gun. And again, the reason for the charges are based upon the person's conduct at the mall at approximately 3:06 on Sunday afternoon. That's what it relates to. And again, I hope that answers your question, but I don't see anything low about it. And quite frankly, the judge was told ahead of time what the bail recommendation was going to be, and that's what it is.
Right, I think the question becomes the level of cooperation is cited as that this person was very cooperative, but at the same time, it required his image being released to the media and being put out there, and he changed his appearance, and then he surrendered himself. So it wasn't as if he actually stayed in the mall when the incident took place.
That's correct. You accurately stated the facts. But he could have easily walked in and said he wasn't going to cooperate. He walked in, he had a lawyer, he sat down, led us to the evidence, led us to the facts and circumstances, and in the system, that has to be evaluated in any circumstance that we decide what to do. And again, I go back to, we're dealing with a case where one shot was discharged, and the person was carrying a legal weapon, and the person has no criminal history.
But you can't comment on how that firearm was discharged? He didn't say if he intentionally shot or if it was just being mishandled in some way?
I
would imagine intent.
think you can read, if you read the charges, I think the charges speak for what is being said.
Would it be considered typical and responsible for someone who has a carry permit who's carrying their weapon to keep the safety on?
Depends what training they went to. Not all training that people carry firearms receive the same training. Just in Orange County, you can go to different people, there are different standards. Again, the investigation's still continuing.
Are his permits going to be revoked?
That's up to the judge in Sullivan County.
Forgive me having just walked into the room, but you said the charges speak for themselves, and I'm just looking for a little bit of clarity. Are you saying that this was an accident?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the charges, reckless endangerment and criminally negligent assault is what they boil down to, that they speak for themselves.
Can you explain them for us, for those who aren't as familiar with the charges? Can you give us an idea of how you came to assign those charges?
Based upon the interview with the defendant.
No details about that interview?
I'm prohibited from talking about his statement.